Welcome to another episode of Men on Fire here on Soul Mechanic TV and Soul Mechanic Radio. Today is December 21st, the shortest day of the year. Thank freaking God. Because I'd like to see it get a little bit longer, and I'm already bored of winter because it's been a winter all year long, basically because of the virus. And it's affected all of us, it's affected myself, and it's cold outside here. I'm up here on my loft over my garage where I normally record, and I just thought I'd go ahead and give you a message. I didn't prepare anything. A lot of times, maybe you've seen me kind of look down at my screen. It's because I usually tape some sheets of paper with bullet points on what I want to talk about with you. And so I look down at them and do that. But today, it's just coming straight from the heart. And I want to, first of all, wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Of course, we've just received some news that Ontario, where I live, is going to be going into a lockdown for 28 days. So that's not good news because, of course, we had plans to enjoy Christmas with our children. It wasn't going to be a huge gathering, but at least have our children come in and enjoy some Christmas festivities with them. I think I've seen them twice this year. So it hasn't been the best for get-togethers, as all of you know. But you know, I've had some ups and downs this year, and had a pretty good year, basically, with in regards to being able to touch people's lives. And you know, I've tried to make some strides on my own, and I put a lot of work into something very recently. And it didn't pan out. I found out on Saturday that it didn't work out, and frankly, I was gutted. I was gutted that it didn't work out, and I pretty pissed off for the rest of Saturday, and depressed yesterday, and seeing the other side of it today. So you know, I think those are all fair emotions that we all go through when things don't go our way, but. You know, I wonder when I reflect on it, because, you know, I'm an emotional person, as we all are, and I have to go up and down with my emotions and follow that. But it always brings me to a point of self-reflection, because as you've heard me say many times, that thoughts become things, and we're 100% responsible for what happens to us in our lives. And I totally believe that. But as I self-reflected a little bit on this, I thought to myself, well, you know, life's tough. Life's not made to be easy, and we all want it to be there, and we take steps to try to get there, but it's not easy at all. It's an uphill climb at the best of times. And there's only short periods where it's like we're sliding down the other side and going, yee-haw! But that doesn't never last, does it? We're always back to the next climb. And, you know, what would happen? I thought to myself, what would happen if, you know, I put myself in the place of being an energetic entity before I even came to the planet Earth in this current life form. And I sat there and I agreed to, so just, you know, go along with the scenario, if you will, just for a second. So I agreed to this contract called life, and I knew already a lot of it was going to suck, you know, but there's going to be so many emotional highs and lows that as a energy orb, if you will, in the realm of the absolute, you cannot experience. You may know what you are, that may know that your energy and your highest form of divine energy, but you can't experience any of it. So we come to planets like Earth in order to do that, and we find out things about ourselves as we're here. So if I signed a contract to come here to take part in this tough existence called life, and I mean, we've got it a lot easier now than people 25, 50, 100 years ago, let alone thousands of years ago. And yet it's still tough because we make it that way. We've invented things that make it tougher for us. But if I knew, the point is, if I knew I had a contract and I was getting into something, for example, you sign a contract with your employer, and these are the duties and responsibilities of your job. And then the employer gives you heck because you aren't living up to this agreement. And then you leave their office shaking your head going, oh, I hate this place. Why did he say that? But then you sit down and you go, well, I signed a contract, and maybe I need to pick up my end of the bargain and pull up my socks and do what I'm supposed to do. Or you leave, right? Which is the same thing here. Yes, we're back recording. The internet isn't all it's supposed to be up here. It comes and it goes, and here I am trying to record a message for you, bearing my soul, and maybe a message that you could take something from, and the internet just conks out. And like I said, life is not a bowl of cherries. It's not easy. We're constantly being obstacles put in front of us, and we have to jump over them and continue on. And that's what I'm doing here. And I don't know if I'll lose you again. Right now, the internet is stable. But the message I wanted to try to get across to you is to keep going. Don't worry about what's happened in the past. Too many times we try to live our life from the past and try to prepare for the future. But we forget about the now, the present moment. That's the only place our life is taking place in. Right now, this very second when I talk to you, that's the only second that our life can be in. You listening, me talking. Now, you're not listening to this live, obviously. You're going to listen to it recorded. But you get what I mean. So if we spend too much time in our past becomes our future, because we learn from experience, don't we? But then if all we experience is those things in our past and we remember them constantly, then all we're going to do is make an imprint on our brain to repeat it and bring that into the future. So we're not living in the present moment then. So this leads us to thinking that what's true is what happens outside of us, not what happens inside of us. But the truth is what's happening inside, not outside. So we start to think that everything outside of us is true, right? But we already know there's so many things happening about us that are erroneous, and people aren't telling factual stories, and we're getting news from all sorts of places, especially in this time, that half of it we have to discount. In fact, it's been proven by psychologists and scientists that most people within 4 or 5 years, 50% of what you remember, you've made up. You're not even telling the truth to yourself, because you can't remember the exact facts that took place. So your brain fills in the blanks. And that's why some witnesses in juries and that sort of thing can't remember exactly what happened, and what they're saying isn't exactly true anymore. They think it is, for sure, because they've filled in the blanks, but it's not. So the truth is inside you, not from outside of you. Do you remember that quote, or actually line, in that movie with Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson, where Jack Nicholson's on the stand and Tom Cruise is that Navy lawyer, and he's trying to get them to tell me the truth, and Jack Nicholson says, "You can't handle the truth." And so it is with us. We can't handle the truth because the truth is inside. It's not outside of us. And that's where we constantly go wrong. Now, I've said that, the way you think is the way you feel is the way you act, and the way you act gets the results you get in your life. And that the way we feel is the emotional part, and that's the most important part, because we're constantly trying to get ourselves to feel differently. That's why we do everything we do. That's why we ignore things, or that we take part in things, or that we believe things, that we extrapolate things from the past and put them into the future, because we want to feel differently. It's the reason that addiction even exists. We want to make ourselves feel different in the moment. That's why I have a drink. That's why you smoke a cigarette. That's why somebody else steals. That's why somebody murders. That's why it goes on and on and on. Gambling, everything else. All those addictions is that they want to make themselves feel differently. And that's what we're all about, because we are emotional beings, right? But when we're doing that, we're thinking that everything outside of us is the truth, not the inside. I'll give you an example. If I told you right now that I just deposited $1 million in your bank account, and you could trust me, you knew I had the money, and I deposited it in your bank account, you'd go, "Really? You did?" "Yeah, of course. I love you. I put it in your bank account. I want you to have it." You'd jump for joy. "Woohoo! $1 million. I can't believe it." And then as we talked, a few minutes later, I said, "Well, actually, I needed the money, so I just took it out. So I wasn't kidding. I gave it to you, but I just took it away." And then how would you feel? "What? Are you serious? You took, oh, now I feel terrible." You went from here to here in a moment, in an instant, because of the way I made you feel. Just by what I said, let alone what happens to us in our lives, which is so much more powerful. So you believe something to be true, then it wasn't. It was something that happened outside of you, wasn't it? I put money in your bank account. I took the money away. Yet you identified with that, but it's not what happens outside of us. It's what happens inside of us. So you have to recognize that and see what's your truth. What are your beliefs? What do you believe is true? What do you want for yourself? What do you want for the people around you? Because if you give it to yourself, that will help everyone around you. Don't just sit there and be a martyr and go, "Oh, I got to help them. I got to do that. I got to do this. Got to make dinner for the person down the road. I have to do this." And then you're burnt out. So many people try to do that. People pleasers. They figure they'll get a little bit of love somehow, because somehow they've lacked love over their lifetime. And that's how I make people love me, because I constantly serve them. But yet most people won't even appreciate you. Certainly not the way you want to be appreciated. And I don't want to get off track here, because this is my Christmas message. Isn't it exciting and isn't it happy? Yes, Christmas time is almost upon us. So is the equinox, and we're moving into the age of Aquarius. And I know there's a song that goes with that, and I won't sing it for you here today. But it is true, and we're moving into a different age, an age of giving and loving and togetherness. And changes aren't going to happen overnight, but things are going to improve. So keep your head up, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you. Please take care, stay safe, do all the protocols that are asked of you. We'll get through this, and we'll have a much better 2021 than 2021. Thank you so much for listening. I hope I brought something to you this past year. This is episode number 61. So thank you for listening, and I hope to keep you listening in the future. And tell other people to listen to the show if you are so inclined. I'd love to have more listeners and people, bringing more to people's lives if I can. Thank you again. Take care. Bye for now.